welcome to episode 11 of the Just Run podcast with me, Rhys Morgan.
And me, Nathan Marshall.
Last week's episode was really good fun. We had Jenks and Paul on to talk through our prep for the fast approaching Epona 100-mile race that we've got coming up in June. It was a really interesting episode because none of us have actually taken on that kind of distance other than Nathan, who's done it in a multi-stage race. And even though we're all training for the same race, it was really cool to see how unique everyone's journeys are. And yeah, we all bring different things to the table, which is why I love doing this. If you haven't already listened, please tune in to hear us talk about everything from paces to parenthood. And on that note, actually, I have to say, shout out to Jenks, who was on the podcast, because he actually took a pretty bad fall over the weekend and has broken his hand in 3 places. He fell over on the trails, which is shit news, but he's still ticking the miles off on Strava. But just a shout out to you, Jenks, if you're listening, take it easy and all the best with the recovery.
That's karma, isn't it?
Yeah.
After he was laughing about me last week.
Exactly.
Karma's a bitch, Jenks.
This week we're going to be joined by the awesome Paul Breen. So Paul is ex-British military turned ultra running event manager, I guess is the quickest and most simplest form to describe him. Nathan and I had the pleasure to meet him at last week's Big Moose Run for Good event, where Paul told his story about how he was able to overcome adversity and do some amazing things in the process. For anyone who wasn't able to make it, then we're lucky enough to have him on tonight on the Just Run podcast. And if you were at the event, then you're a lucky bastard and you get to hear it twice. So win-win. I won't say any more than that right now because we're going to hear from him in just a moment. In the meantime, what we usually do, have a little catch up with my devilishly handsome co-host, Nathan. How you doing, mate? How's the past week been?
It's been all right. Went out today for a recce of the It's Why We Run route up in Garth.
Did see.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It was a route I've never been, and I never will again because that was horrendous. It was only 7.2 miles, but it took me like 2.5 hours.
Is this so? Just to elaborate, the Why We Run route. So, is it you want to talk about on the 30th of March? Is it?
Yeah. So we're meeting at First Light or Garth. We're not decided yet, but keep an eye out for the post on It's Why We Run. And the 30th, and we're going to do 6 miles. So we've got just over 6.5 mile loop. So you can either do it once, twice, or do it once and then join a couple of others. Just like go up towards Garth and hit the trig point.
Nice. The pictures looked amazing. It looked brutal. The weather didn't look great, but I've never been on this route. You said we were speaking before we came on here, but that'd be interesting. And
it was just so muddy. So I think we may be changing it slightly. But yeah, that was just too muddy. That wouldn't have been a good course for all abilities. Because my ass is ruined from where it just feels like we've been squatting all day. It was that much climbing.
I see you took the topos out as well, mate. How did they perform?
They were okay, yeah. I was quite surprised actually. I would like bit more tread on him just to give me a bit more grip like a speed goat, but overall really well. Every time I went through a river, within minutes all the water was gone. Yeah, they fared quite well. I think they're more of a drier weather trail shoe rather than soaking wet like it was today, because it was bad. It was above my ankles, mud deep everywhere. It was horrendous. It wasn't pleasurable. I don't know why people are going out doing trail runs at the moment, because everywhere's just ankle deep everywhere.
Like a bog, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. And unless you're wearing something with mega lugs, it's not just that, it's also a bit dangerous. I mean, look what happened with Jegs. You know, he's done plenty of ultra runs in all kinds of weather. And yourself, you broke a rib and then you get Jenks falling and breaking his hand. Luckily, neither of you have damaged legs or anything badly, so you can still do it. But you just got to be sensible, and you got to make sure if people are coming down to do it and traveling to do it, you got to make sure it's accessible for everyone, really, isn't it? So
yeah, because it was in the middle of nowhere as well. It was so far away from roads. I thought, if someone falls now, we're fucked.
Fair enough. I wish I could say I did some good running over the weekend, but I was
Can
down in
you get up at
Exeter.
like 5 o'clock in the morning?
I did that. Was that yesterday? Or the day before? Yeah. So on the weekend, I didn't do much running at all, except for, well, no running at all. I was on a stag do in Exeter, so my all day drinking sessions are long behind me. So it was a long, hard weekend, and I didn't even drink that much. I was mainly looking after the stag, who coincidentally had rolled his ankle playing football a few days prior, so he was on a crutch. But yeah, I was out to the house by 4 a.m. the other day, just did a 10 miler before work, all on roads around Cardiff. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Felt really good, felt really strong. Although the road running just gets very boring for me. But yeah, it was good. I felt strong, which is the main thing. My ankles and my knees and everything, I still feel like some niggles in there, but they're getting better every day. So let's hope it keeps going that way. Fingers
Sunday, I went
crossed.
out with the wife because she's training for the Big Moose fun run. She's doing a half marathon.
Oh
And
yeah,
Sunday, she wanted to go out and just knock off. Well, she wanted to get to 10 miles. And she nailed it.
10 miles.
10 miles, yeah.
Oh, fair play to her. That's class. That's really
Yeah.
good.
So she's gone from like 5K November up to 10 miles.
Standard. So the only natural progression here is an ultra, clearly.
Yeah, exactly. But she finished it, and the first thing she said is, "I've still got another fucking 3 miles to go."
Yeah,
I said,
that's the
"You've done all the
reality.
hard work. 3 miles. It's only fucking 5K, in it."
Yeah, but that's, mate, you know yourself. When you're in it, 5K seems like the
Yeah,
end of the world.
but the buzz of everyone else and that finish line will pull her along anyway.
That's what'll push her through. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. What we'll do, I think, mate, if you want, maybe we'll bring Paul in now because obviously he's patiently waiting, and rather than me and you talking about how the event went last week, obviously he was a big part of it, and it was such a amazing event. Let's hear from him and get him involved. So, Paul, are you there, mate?
Hi there, you're right.
Hello, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting there, mate. When me and
No
Nate start
worries at
talking,
all.
we tend to get a bit carried away.
It was like when we were talking to Paul, no, not Paul, Nick Butter.
Yeah,
We were just
you can.
chatting, and all of a sudden we were like bouncing off each other, interviewing him.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, we if we'd had a microphone, it would have been in his face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I'm
you
gonna.
doing though, Paul?
Yeah,
How you
good,
doing
good.
after last week?
Yeah, still on a high to be honest. But as I said on the talk, I know it's I can talk a glass eyeball sleep. So yeah, it's I'm just buzzing from the whole event. I thought it was amazing. It's the first time I'd shared in public my journey, and I really enjoyed it. Everybody's so supportive and just sort of made me feel very welcome. So
It was incredible. It was amazing. The first one I've done. I didn't go to the one last year, and I'll be honest. I'm a bit of a secret fanboy of Nick Butter. Well, not really a secret. I've been following him for years, and I took my book along because I knew I'd try and get an autograph off him. But it's funny because he's one of my running idols, and they always say never to meet your idols. But in this instance, I'm glad I did because he was a bloody lovely guy, and we got to meet you and have a little chat with you, and everyone was just amazing, and it was a very good, positive evening, but also heartfelt because everybody's so just talking from the heart, and like yourself, speaking about journeys that are very stuff that is very intimate to yourself, that nobody else knows about. So it's hard to do, and you absolutely nailed it, mate. It was so interesting and inspiring, and hence why we wanted you on here to talk about that again. So I know you just mentioned about your journey, and I know that you discussed this at length, obviously, last week. But if you wouldn't mind, for anybody who wasn't there, can you just give us a bit of a background on yourself, mate, and where your journey started, and obviously, yeah, a bit about you.
yeah, not a problem. So yeah, I'm. It's not an extravagant journey. I my career used to be in the army. I served for around 10 years in the armed forces, um, in a cavalry regiment. I had a very. I believe I had a nice time. I didn't. A lot of people had a lot worse time than I did. And I then left to start a family. Um, soon after leaving the armed forces, something was wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something didn't feel right. I couldn't fit in, and I was starting to go downhill fast. I went to the doctors, and around that time, PTSD was the go-to thing. So I got diagnosed with PTSD. After this, the diagnosis did come after a couple of years, and medication followed, and just the whole thing fell apart for me. I was a fit, healthy guy, and then all of a sudden, I was nearing sort of like 18 stone. Wasn't moving, wasn't enjoying life, wasn't enjoying my job, wasn't really sort of interacting with my children, marriage going down the pan, and yeah, I wasn't in a good place. That culminated in something that I was drilled into me in the armed forces: make a decision. Indecision in the armed forces is death. So I made a decision, and I loved the mountains. I used to work in the mountains as an adventurous training instructor in the armed forces in Canada, all around the world. So I decided to sort out my affairs. I headed up to Snowdon, and I took a coin out of my pocket at the top and made a decision. Tails, I was going over, and then it was done. And heads, I was gonna try and sort something, try for 6 months to do everything I could to try and sort my life out. Luckily, it was heads, didn't go over. And yeah, I headed back down the mountain, and there was some mountain rescue guys involved, and I started chatting to one of them. And one of them, I'd been to counselling quite a lot and everything. I've been trying everything, and the big thing came about the tunnel, light at the end of the tunnel. Hated that analogy because I wasn't ever getting close to that light. And then he said, "No, you're not in a tunnel. You're in a well. You need to climb up so you can see the progression from the floor up." And that just snapped. That was the changing point. Yes, I'm in a well. There's the hole. Climb up the hole. Every little ladder, someone's helping you up, or you're helping yourself up. So I went back the next day and I went for a run. Now, I used to run, sort of a 1:30 half marathon in the armed forces. I signed up to the Cardiff half. I did. It was a good run. And I went out for a run that 2 days later. It was awful. It's the slowest, hardest run I'd done. But it was the best I had felt in years. That sort of endorphin rush and everything like that, it felt amazing. And I ran every day for the next 3 weeks. Nothing big, just little runs, stopping, starting, walking, all that. It was great. Signed up for the Cardiff half, had my goal. I did the Cardiff half in about 2 hours, 15 minutes, which was my slowest ever half, but it was probably the best race I've ever felt. And you were just talking there, natural progression. I've done a half marathon. I need to do 100K. Signed up for the 100K London to Brighton. Got to 96 kilometers and then found out about electrolytes. And got woken up by paramedics and everything like that on a mat in a sports hall. They were quite worried about me. DNF'd, obviously. They wouldn't let me go any further. My squatty mentality kicked in. I was going, but they wouldn't let me out, and thank God they didn't. Again, on the train home, everybody's going, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Why? I feel amazing. Yeah, and I sort of that was the sort of my sort of part where I fell in love with running and all these things and these extreme things. And I went on to do Ironman, become an Ironman coach. I met my now new wife, who we both met, and then after a date or so, she declared, "Oh, I'm going to be away for a bit because I'm going off to do the Marathon des Sables." And I went, "Well, funny, so am I." Just completely random, went off and yeah, there we are, doing the MDS. Again, DNF'd. It was the 35th MDS, and those that know about that knows that was quite a bad one for DNV. And I got DNV just for the long stage and got pulled out. But again, one of the most amazing things I've ever done. But just before we went out to the desert, we went to the National Running Show, and I wanted to meet Laz. The documentary had come out about the Barkley Marathons, and I was desperate to meet him. You couldn't get near him, no chance. But when we were leaving, just absolutely randomly, stars aligned. He was outside having a fag, and I asked him to sort of tear a book out. And whilst I was talking to him, and I mean, he is the loveliest man. He is the loveliest, most humble man ever. I was talking to him, and I mentioned I come from Barkley in Gloucestershire, and he literally instantly went, set up a Barkley Marathons UK. And I was like, no, I've got a full-time job, got kids, I've got all this thing with my mental health. We went away from that, went to the desert, and whilst out there in our tent, we discussed it, and me and my partner basically said, why don't we do it? But we'll do it for charity. So yeah, we started at the Barkley Marathons the year after, and give all of the money to charity. And I then noticed that was helping with my mental health as well. I say this all the time. It's very selfish. I do this for me, not for it's the runner's race, but I do this for my mental health, because the smiles we put on people's faces just blows me away. So I was like, what else can we do? So we started bringing in a few things we'll talk about, and like with charities and everything like that. And then we moved on, and then we've launched other races. We launched a backyard, and we launched Gertlush events. And people, especially not Southwesterners, go, why do you call it Gertlush? But if you are from the Southwest, you know what Gertlush means. It's big, it's awesome, and it's some events. But we are not the normal race company. Our view is not to make money. It's participation, get people involved, get people moving, improve mental health, and improve have a social impact, a positive social impact, which we do with, if you go on our website, we do lots of different things, talking benches, food bank that drives, everything like that. We've literally this morning just announced that all of our races will have 2 mandatory items, just like the Barkley, and they will be a set of recycling shoes. You mentioned on one of your recent podcasts about there was a company to recycle your shoes. It's called Jog On. There you go. So yeah, whole thing's shoes, and they all get recycled, kept out of landfill, everything like that. And then there's also a food bank item. They have to bring a minimum of 1 food bank item, and they didn't. Most people bought 3 or 4, and we took them down to the food bank, which were really struggling, and we filled their food bank. So we've loved it so much, we're going to do that for all of our races.
That's amazing.
And that's what we're about. We just want to try and have some positive impact whilst being really selfish and helping myself out.
So Paul, going back to sort of like when you ended up on the top of the mountain with that decision to make, what do you think was missing from your life? Was it you couldn't deal with civvy life coming out of the army for so long?
That's what I've still not had a clear diagnosis. I went and spoke to a really, really good psychologist, and and talking to these therapists and just is amazing. I encourage anybody to do it. And the best we could come up with is routine. When you're in the armed forces, there is a routine. Although you're doing something different possibly every day. Oh, who wants to go and do climbing? Who wants to go and go on exercise? You need to go on tour. You need to go there. You need to do that. But there's a routine. You know what you're doing. There's food at this time. There's orders come out in 8 o'clock in the morning. On Wednesday, you're doing sports afternoon. And you're around the same people. And I just don't think I could handle not having that routine. People say I was, the word escapes me now, but I was sort of, gone into that system too much, but and that's possibly what it is. But yeah, just don't think I could handle not having that routine all the time.
I was going to, Nate stole the question right at my mate. I was going to ask the same thing. I guess off the back of that, I mean, first of all, what an incredible journey that you've been on, and like you keep referring back to how it's selfish and stuff. But I think we all know that it's not. I mean, you've also got to be a bit selfless. What you're doing is you're giving back and creating an incredible community, and alongside that, that's helping you and your life and your mental health. And amazing, kudos to you, because you have pulled yourself out of such a horribly dark place. I can't even imagine, being in that situation on top of that mountain and putting your life literally in the hands of a coin. And I'm so thankful that it ended up the way it did. And obviously, I'm sure you are, and all of us are. But I'm just curious, in terms of all of your experiences and stuff, and going back to the military, just because I want to focus on that a sec. Do you think that, or do you think that your military experience has maybe shaped your approach to overcoming the adversity that you've been dealt with? So, like, kind of like a two-sided coin, so to speak, because you obviously you struggled with the routine, or not having the routine, I should say. But then, actually, do you also think it's like a double-edged sword? Do you think that it actually helped you because of what you learned and kind of like in the military, like overcome certain other aspects of your life? That makes sense. And
yeah, definitely. Working the problem is the whole old saying, no plan suffices for first contact with the enemy, and that is true for everything. I find, but you have to work the problem, and I just got in a rut where I wasn't trying to work the problem. I was just accepting the problem, and it just piled and became this sort of vicious circle of acceptance, to the point where I decided to make a decision. It probably wasn't the best decision to go and do that. It was a very finite decision. If it had landed the wrong way, a gust of wind would have knocked the coin the wrong way. But it did kick me up the arse and go. And literally, if I hadn't talked to that chap on the way down who changed my perspective, and that's talking to people. It doesn't have to be a therapist. It can be anyone. It can be random stranger on the street. But just talk to as many people as you can, and someone will say something that clicks. And that's what clicked for me. Is you're not in a tunnel, you're in a well. And just looking up, and you say about, I was in a dark hole. I was, and that hole's not gone, and it will never be gone. But our saying is, keep smiling, keep moving forward. Because if I'm moving forward, I'm not going back to the hole. And that's our sort of mantra.
That's cool.
Really is. I like that when I heard it last week about the well situation, and I hope that anybody who's listening, because obviously we focus a lot about mental health in here as well. I hope anybody's listening also maybe will hear that and say, "Fuck yeah, I get it." I get it, because everyone uses the analogy as light at the end of the tunnel. And I'll be honest with you, it kind of annoys me. It gets on my tits a little bit because everyone says it, and I know it might work for some people, but it's sometimes not what you want to hear, because you don't want to, it almost, it's like reverse psychology for me. It doesn't work for me if somebody said that to me, but the way you've described you're climbing up the hole to get out of something as opposed to the end of a tunnel, it's different for me. It flicks a switch. Yeah. Which is obviously is good, and
you can see where you've come from. You can see the floor and see where you've come from. And you can always go back down there, but you don't want to. You want to go up there, and that's what is the thing with me. I could see where I was, so I started to lose weight. That was a run below me. I started to have more energy. I'd moved up a run. I could see that run. Do I want to go back down to that run? No, I don't. I'm moving up. I'm out the hole. I'm moving away from the hole.
Amazing. And we got to touch on the Barkley Marathons, but I know obviously you've done some amazing things. But first of all, it's ironic that you are on here today, because today is the kickoff of the Barkley Marathons over in Tennessee.
It is.
I absolutely love it. And how cool is it that you're able to do a UK version? But even more to the point that Laz himself actually said, "You got to do it, and you've taken
his
that
idea.
on.
It was all his idea. Blame him.
How did you not have that before? It's just mad, isn't it, how it took him to say that? Because it's good that you've come to this and made such an awesome thing in the UK. I hope that I can do it one day. I don't think I've got big enough balls to go ahead and try and do the one in America anytime soon. Maybe not saying that yours is any easier, but
no one's finished ours.
Oh, how long have you been going?
3 years.
Right, there we go then. So
So
maybe I'll
running
be the
America's
first.
easy. 17 of them have finished that.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, have you watched that new documentary? It came out last week. But Carl Saab, I think his name is.
Yeah,
He's the
yeah,
17th person, isn't he? I haven't watched it
yeah.
yet, but what amazes me about that is that guy has set some amazing records and has finished the Barkley Marathon, arguably one of the hardest races in the world. And he's not even a professional runner. He's a Belgian dentist. He didn't even run. Like he does run, sorry. He's not even like a full professional athlete. He just does things like that for fun and just nails it. But have you heard the recent update where two people have been disqualified?
Yeah, so Keith Dunn, I'm obviously I'm a absolute fanboy of it, and I've been very lucky to rub some shoulders with some celebrities of the Barkley. Like John Kelly actually helped us design our route.
No
Um,
way.
Very strange story about that one. Someone tagged me in it, and if you know the sort of Bristol area, we're sort of just north of Bristol, Barkley. And someone said, "Oh, speak to John Kelly." And I was like, "Oh God, no, I can't speak to John Kelly. He's a legend." Turns out he lived in Bristol at the time. So he's from Tennessee, but he lived in Bristol and he knew the route. And I sent him a message on Facebook thinking he's never going to reply to this. And almost like within an hour, he'd sent one back going, I know the route. That's amazing. Love the idea. And he sent back a few sort of pointers and stuff like that. So yeah, John Kelly actually helped us with part of the route. And I've messaged him quite a lot since. He's reposted us loads. And I
What?
believe there was a conversation on the spine between John Kelly, Damien Hall, and Nobles. Nobles randomly I met because he lost his key for his car, and I'm an automotive locksmith for the AA, and I turned up to do his key, and I went, "Oh my God, I know who you are." That's another one. Yeah, yeah. He came running up to us at the show. Absolutely lovely guy. Knew all about us, and did say maybe one day. But yeah, I've rubbed a lot of shoulders with them, and I've been very lucky because I'm a massive fanboy of them. But yeah,
Wow. Okay. Do you think you'll ever get out there, mate, and try it? Excuse me.
can't say too much.
Oh, here we
But
go, guys. Here's a
there's a
world's
plan
first on the
afoot.
Just Run podcast.
There's a plan afoot, should we? Because another chance meeting. I was at work again, and Damien Hall ran past me, and I chased him down in my van and went, Damien! And he loved it. He's posted about us, and I'm going to be. He's obviously running at the moment out there, and yeah, I'll be. There's going to be some conversations.
Ooh, Nathan, Just Run
Yeah,
podcast, world's first. Yes,
yeah.
love it.
For everyone who doesn't know, can you explain what the Barkley Marathons is in America before we go on to yours?
So yeah, the Barkley Marathon started, back in there's because there are some serious people, fans of this thing, and they will question everything. But I believe it started around sort of 1985 was the first sort of concept of it and stuff. And as on the documentary, someone escaped jail and they got a few miles within 60 hours. Laz just went, oh, I could make 100 miles in that time. And the idea was born. Like all of these stupid things that I've come up with, that idea just comes in your head, and I write them up on the whiteboard behind me. And this race was born. And the original race, people did complete it. It wasn't 100 miles. It wasn't the 5 laps. But once someone completed it, Laz went, oh, we'll make this harder. And yeah, he decided to make it harder. And nobody completed it for a very long time until a very, very obviously, a UK runner went over and finished it. So, Americans. And yeah, that one. I think the big thing with the Barkley is once people know it can be done, that's what that you need to have that really fine balance of, and that's what Laz gave me the rules for. He said, make it nigh on impossible, but open to everyone, which I'll cover that part in a minute. So we've made it nigh on impossible, but it is doable. John Kelly said he'd have to, on his good day, he reckons he could finish it. Gary Robbins, again, he said he'd have to have a good day, thinks he'd finished it. I said, well, you get 30 seconds close. If you know about Gary Robbins' thing, that's
Yeah.
he did laugh at that, so I was all right. But yeah, and then it went under the wire for a very long time, the Barkley, and then the documentary started coming out, and the ball started rolling, and that's pretty much our journey. You know, our first year we had 22 runners, nobody knew about us, like it was all local runners, and they were just like, yeah, all right, I'll go have a go, and then all 22 of them signed up for the next year on the day after. And they loved it. They loved you got there, our God and Cod, that we're very tongue in cheek. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We give a God award for the best sort of performance, and that's not the best runner or the fastest or who gets furthest. It's someone who achieves their goal and maybe goes that little bit beyond. So our first one, a lady got to lap 2, passed out, threw up everywhere. We went to go and collect her. She said, "Don't touch me." And carried on, and she completed the fun run, 3 laps.
Wow.
And that was awesome. So she got the God Award. The Cod Award went to Stuart, who was going to be our 3-peat. He's done every year so far. He came back covered head to toe in cowpat, and he also did the fun run, but he got the Cod Award. And yeah, so we like to sort of make it fun, make it. And last year sent over a little sort of snippet, and he said, "You're all losers because no one's going to finish." And I like that. You know, we are all losers. None of us are going to finish the race that is life. We're all going to lose.
Yeah.
So just enjoy it.
That's a really good way of putting it. And what I always find mad, and I know it's such a niche thing, is how he does the whole book situation, and you got to find that book and then rip out the page that is like relates to your race number and make sure you have them all. And it just seems it's so cool. Like, I'll be honest with you, I know you said it kind of, for whatever reason, just dropped off the radar for a while. And I'm into I'm big into my documentaries and podcasts and everything. And for whatever reason, I kept seeing the Where Dreams Go to Die with Gary Robbins, and just didn't watch it. And then a couple of weeks ago, probably a month or so ago, I went on the treadmill for a long run, and I thought, let's have a look at this. And I was hooked. I did not get off that treadmill till I finished it because it was so good, so good. And it's just brutal. And like you just made a little bit joke about the end. So brutal how that ended. Like when 6 seconds was he listening?
No, so I think he was 30 seconds off, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway because he didn't get the last page because somebody
That's it.
bought the book. Somebody bought the book in.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody, apparently some walker bought the book in.
Yeah. No spoilers. If you're gonna watch it, sorry, I
Oh,
apologize. Bit of a
yeah.
spoiler there, but
He's
are
a
you
ghost in the end.
do you do books or like?
I mean, I joined the armed forces for a reason. You know, I can hardly read, but yeah, I do. Yeah, do you mean on the race? I do apologize. Yeah, no, we do. We do the books. Yeah, we do. We're exactly the same format. We're 5 laps. Each lap's a marathon, but thanks to John Kelly, you only get 24 hours to do it. But yeah, it's we do all the books, rip the pages out, exactly the same. All the format is the same. With the books, we try and pick to be funny. You saw someone there, Cry Baby, Rage, Box 88, The Trouble with Sheep and Goats, because we've got names already starting to form. We've got a little cult going of people that want to name fields, and there's a field that has 2 horny little pygmy goats in, and they call it, so that has now been dubbed Horny Goat Field. You saw the boxes there. So Hugh Williams from Pennington Ultras up in North Wales, fantastic guy. Really helped me a lot, sort of get some sort of knowledge out there. And he suggested, well, you're a locksmith, you've got to put your own stamp on it. Why don't you put the books in a box with a key on it, and then give everybody a bunch of keys? So our first year, everybody had the 15 keys. There's only 10 boxes, and they're completely unlabeled. So they had to sit there and go for every box. And so we did that. But this year just gone, we've changed it to codes. And on the front of the box, we put a mathematical equation or riddle, and they have to work the riddle out. Now, this isn't a spoiler alert because it will change every year. But you might have seen some of the pictures. There's a tower. It's called Nibley Monument. It's 112 foot tall, spiral staircase all the way to the top. There we go. Lovely place. We get private use of that. It's not open to the public all the time, and we get private use of that. So I sort of decided this will be fun. Let's put the box at the top. So, wait, and this is all down to Laz. I sent this to Laz, and he went, "No, do it this way." So they get to the top, and on the front of the box it says the code's on the back of the door at the bottom.
Oh.
Wait, I've not finished. So they go down to the bottom, and on the back of the door it says, "Only joking, it's under the box." Then they come all the way to the top, and the code's underneath the box. And we had someone up there filming the reactions. And if you go on our either YouTube channel or website, it's on there. It's called Tower Reactions. There's a bit of foul language, I will warn you. But it's absolutely hilarious. But it had a reason for it. One of the fastest runners on there, you'll see him, Paul. Great. He came to the race and he went, "I'm going to smash your race." I went, "Go for it." He sat there for a total of 6.5 minutes looking at the front of the box, broken. Chimp came out the cage, broken. He finally got up, went downstairs, came up, looked on the box, got it. And as he was going, he went, "You nearly properly got me there." And he came back in off his second lap and he went, "I now know what this race is all about. It's nothing to do with finishing. It's about building mental rigidity, having that I can go on, I can do this, I can move forward, one foot in front of the other, and just keep smiling." And he said, at the end, he said, "Oh, I've never done a race twice, ever." And he went, "Where do I sign up?" And that to me, I was like, I've won. I've done my job as a race director. And he has come back and said he's going to do 4. That he's going to be the first person to do 4 laps this year. But doesn't know what I've got in store for him, does he? So.
I love this. I'm so excited for this. I feel like I want to just come down and watch. Can I just come down and
we
watch?
encourage that. We encourage it. Bring the podcast, do a podcast from there. We really encourage it with clubs. It's not my race. I'm not that race director. It's other people's race. Come down, use the race. Big Moose are one of our main charities now, and they will be forever now going forward, because I fell in love with Big Moose. It's all about that. So raising awareness, come down, have fun, and just poke fun at the people, crying.
Go make just run Barkley Marathons edition. We gotta
might run that next year actually. So we all know Laz lights up the cigarette at the start.
Yes.
What about you?
Well, that was a big one. That was like, because I don't smoke, I hate smoking. I was like, well, I'm not going to start just for this. My dedication doesn't run that deep. So the first year, my son started it with the horn, and we love that. And then, I said, I need to up my game here. And someone said, "Why don't you neck a beer?" There is. Oh, you've got it. Yeah, there we go. So I decided to, not encouraging drinking, but I necked a can of BrewDog, and off they went.
Amazing, absolutely awesome. I love that, and I also like that. I'm assuming you do the same thing. Like these 2 people who've just been disqualified from Barkley because they threw litter on the floor, and so they fucking should, because we're an idiot.
we that's a big no-no. We do the briefing on the Friday night, and map marking, all the same as the Barkley, and stuff like that. The only thing we can't do is change the timing, because in the UK you've got different laws with health and safety and everything like that. It's quite complicated in that aspect. but no, they are, and I will do exactly the same. You know, anybody gets caught littering, you know, breaking fences, anything like that, or you know, damaging sort of our countryside, they will be banned from Gertlush races for life.
Good. I like that. I really stand behind that. Good for you. Just switching it a little bit. Uh, I saw on a recent video that you joined the Dawn Stalkers, mate. Let's another bit of punishment for yourself, but in a different way. How was that?
Oh, amazing! So Jeff from Big Moose, you know Jeff, brilliant. What a guy.
Yeah.
Kevin Webber came and did our Barkley. And if you don't know who Kevin Webber is, look him up. Fantastic guy. He came and did our Barkley, and I was saying at the end about I'm looking for different charities and really inspirational charities. He put me in touch with Jeff. Me and Jeff went and had a 15-minute meeting in the coffee shop in Cardiff. That turned into about 2.5 hours. And whilst there, he was saying, "Oh, you should meet Grant from the Dawn Stalkers." He said, "You two are like that. You're the same." Oh yeah, I said, "Yeah, I'm cool." And you know, he said they'd go out swimming a little bit, and I was like, "Yeah, you know, done Ironman, whatever." You know, Billy Big Balls, didn't I? And yeah, and then me and Grant had chatted back and forth, both busy guys, and he said, "Look, let's meet. We're both going to the Run for Good. Let's have a chat." So we had a chat. We couldn't get enough time together, so I messaged him that night, and I said, "Look, I'm in Cardiff. My wife lived in and worked in Cardiff, and she's still got a house in Taftswell, and we were staying there for the night. And I said, I'm in Cardiff tomorrow. Let's have a coffee. When are you free?" And he went, "I'm free around dawn." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." Oh, and I haven't got any kit. And he went, "Go, Asda's just down the road. Go get some shorts." I went, "Yeah, okay." So yeah, I was like, you know what, in for a penny, in for a pound. And one of the best things I've ever done. Genuinely hate cold water, but and I think it would have been very different of me. And I've been in cold water swimming, and I used to train at Barry for Ironman and stuff. But I think it would have been very different on my own. But do you know what? The community they have down there, and Grant especially, how he you know, he came up, just gave me a massive hug. We've met probably 30 seconds before that, you know, and he just chatting to me instantly got me that I'm like started to poke fun at me. I think I find that quite good. And yeah, and I just loved it. I genuinely loved it. I to the point I am now building a cold water sort of place at mine, and everything like that. And then the coffee guys they've got around there, Peter from the Stall Coffee, again, amazing guy. But yeah, they were awesome Dawn Stalkers. Any listeners, go and meet them, because just have one day with them, I guarantee you'll be set for life.
Was it just down by Penarth Pier? Is it
Yeah,
that
just
one?
to the left of the pier. Yeah,
That's it.
so park down there, just to the left of the pier. I said go down there around dawn, or join their Instagram page. They post every night the times of what dawn is, and yeah, there's loads of them. There's absolutely loads of them, and that's mine. People staying in for 5 minutes, they're off the nut.
I often run past them, so that's not far from here, only a couple of miles, if that, from where I live. And I'll run past them at like 5 in the morning, and they're all getting out and they're having their coffee. And I will say one thing quite controversial. In my opinion, the only time it is acceptable to wear a dry robe. Like
No.
even then.
Disagree.
Oh,
Lies.
no. Paul,
I
come
bet
on, man.
you're part of that Facebook page, aren't you?
I'm not actually, but if
Are
there
you
is one,
not?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be though, because I'm telling you now, I actually took one to a 50 mile that I did last year that I DNF'd on. I didn't put it on because I didn't finish the whole thing. But I feel like after a really long race, and we've spoken about it enough on previous episodes, we did one called the Edam, the Pegasus one, and it rained from the minute we started to the minute we ended. It was horrendous. I would have put it on at the end because I was frigging cold. But it's controversial, and for anybody who's listening, I do not care. Right, the Goldie Looking Chain have put a really funny video out about this.
Yeah.
So if you're walking to work in your
Yeah.
work gear, or you're going out with your mates or meeting up with your partner or something, and you're just wearing a dry robe, sort it out, mate, or whatever. Seriously, just wear a coat. You, unless you've just jumped in some freezing cold water for a cold dip, no. I'm sorry, no, no. Or you've been surfing or paddleboarding or something. I get it. Are you one of them, Paul? Are
I
we
am
opening a
massive.
can of
Yeah,
worms here?
no, zero shame, zero shame. I did a post recently, and I was berating this woman in Tesco's in a dry robe. I don't like the combat one. What's that about? But I was berating her like on my phone from afar. I wasn't being mean to her, but I was like, I cannot believe these people in their dry robes. And then I went past a mirror, and I'm stood there in my dry robe.
I thought you would have had the camel one, mate. I'm not gonna lie. I
No,
thought you would have been all
no,
over that.
no, no. I'm out the army. No, I don't wear camo now. So no,
It's very
as if
controversial.
as if we can't see you. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I'm interested in what people are going to say about this. I've opened up a can of worms here, but it really grinds my gears, man. Like you see people. There's a guy who I walk past every morning to work, and he's proper nice clothes, real nice pair of chinos and smart shoes.
yeah,
Looks, decent dresser, and then this disgusting navy dry robe on, all the way down to his ankles, man. Like
legend.
seriously, man.
What a nice
Seriously.
guy. Yeah, yeah,
I'm sure it's not a judge of his character. He's probably a very nice human being, as all of us are. Well,
yeah.
not all of us, but you know what I mean. But anyway, I was going to say you've done obviously you've got your hand in so many pockets in terms of all these really cool events. And I will say I still don't know what Gert Lush means. I do apologise, but I don't. You've said it a few times, but obviously I'm going to ask you to explain how you came about first getting into that. But what does Gert mean? I am
So,
confused.
so very controversial again, like the dry robes. But, but Gert Lush was stolen by Bristolians, right? It's actually a Somerset saying. So Gert basically just means big. So
Oh,
anything big, Gert. Like look at the Gert set of plums on in. Something like that. And lush, we just is lush, isn't it? It's
yeah.
great. It's fantastic. So all our events will pretty much be big in some way, big in challenge, big in motivation, big in ultra distance, speed, whatever. So it's good. And we're about inclusivity. So all of our races will be inclusive in some way. So for like the Barkley, there is no cutoff. There's no 24-hour, there's no lap cutoff. You've got 24 hours, which Laz gave me, make it inclusive for everybody. You've got 24 hours to do as much as you want. So, like Kez, I don't even know, Kez, Kez from Big Moose. She did the London Marathon. It all started to close down around her and stuff like that. And I met people like that on marathons. I did London Marathon as well. I met people on that too, and I felt so bad for them. And so if you've got a dream of doing a marathon or an ultra, the Barclays for you because you've got 24 hours to do as much as you want. So
Mm.
it's lush. It's lush. You feel lush after it. And, we've had people that were like, I never think I'd be able to do a marathon. They did like 13 and a half hours for one lap, but they felt amazing to the point we had a couple that lifestyle probably wasn't that healthy. And they came into this, they did it like nearly 14 hours, one lap. They came across the line beaming, absolutely beaming. And they've now got coaches, they signed up straight away again, they've, changed their lifestyle a bit. And they're awesome, they're fantastic people. And I was like, again, we've won. We've achieved our aim there. I'm not interested in all fast people. They're boring, aren't they? It's lush. It's great lush.
It's good, Lush. How did you get into event planning then? Have you got is that something you've done previously? I know obviously you're in the military though, so i- is it just an idea that you ran with and you decided to get
Oh,
into it, or?
yeah, I mean, I was in the military, but I can plan a firefight, but that's about it. But no, not it was just Laz sort of gave us the idea, do the thing. We didn't have a clue. Didn't know how to do websites and stuff like that. I put myself through night courses, like learning how to build websites so we could do our own. Just people helping us out. You've got a chap down in Cowbridge, the endurance physio, great guy, helped us out. We've got Hewitt Pennyclin, again, a really good race director, and he was giving me lots of advice about how to do this, speak to this person. So yeah, not a clue. I just sort of, as I say a lot of the times, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Just make it up.
Makes it more fun.
Yeah. As one of Peter's sayings, fake it till you make. Well, he says bake it till you make it, but I fake it till you make it.
That's true. That's really true. And you mentioned at the very beginning, Brink Backyard Ultra. So
Yes.
I've been kind of delved since literally looking at Barkley's. I've kind of been delving into the world of backyard ultras and doing some more research and everything into it. Ones in America and in the UK and stuff. And obviously, we recently announced a competition with friends over at Mad Running Junkies. They do one. So, do you want to talk about yours? So I don't really know a lot about your pre-cart one, mate. If you want to just talk about it for anybody listening.
Yeah. Again, I was having a chat with Laz, and he said, "Why don't you set up a backyard? Because it's Laz's thing. It came from when he used to walk around his backyard. It's 4.1 miles, big backyard, but it's Tennessee. And yeah, I was like, maybe. And then I said, "Oh, go on then." We've got a beautiful place, quarry and woodlands that I sorted the route out. And I was like, "Go on." I was like, "Nobody's going to be interested." It's our first year this year, and we completely sold out, which is rare. To the point I've had to launch 40 more places. So I think there's 20 of them left, and that'll be it. But yeah, it's the concept again is very inclusive. It's you've got to go into it going, I'm probably not going to win it. I'm never going to win an Ironman. But it doesn't stop me entering. And it's again, test yourself, see how far you can go. It's ours is a tough route, probably one of the hardest in the UK. Yeah, it's a 4.1 mile loop. There are no male or female categories. Women are crushing it, absolutely crushing it. My wife is doing it, and she is a phenomenal runner. She finished the arc in just over 30 hours, but she did have a 2.5-hour break chatting to someone. And she finished the line, crossing the line, going, "Oh, I believe they've got cake." Most people are coming across the line asking for an ambulance. But yeah, we do go running, and I'd swear down people think, "Oh, look at her running with that guy, helpless in the community." Yeah.
Like she's your carer or something.
Pretty much. Yeah, well, she is really. Yeah, I haven't got a scuba is what I'm doing, but she's a phenomenal runner. So yeah, we just sort of had a chat and done it, and so she's going to do it. She's going to run it as well. So yeah, that's all it is.
We'll put the links and everything for everything we're talking about. We'll put the links in here because I'm going to go off and have a little research after this as well. But when is the pre-cart backyard and when is the Barkley? Just because we haven't asked you the dates actually.
Yeah, the Barkley is the last weekend in August, so it's sort of 31st, 30th, 30th, 1st, and the 1st of September. It's the break heart is the 21st of June, and then you've got the dozen dips, which is a backyard in the water basically. It's a 12-hour swim, and you swim a mile or half a mile every hour on the hour.
Wow, that's horrible.
No, it's good. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I bet it's great, but that absolutely terrifies me. When I read into the break heart backyard, I was like, oh, I'd like to do this maybe, but you've just said it's the 21st of June, which is the day before I enter my first 100-mile run, which is not going to happen. Yeah. So maybe I'll do it next year.
maybe.
But yeah, I'm curious with everything you got going on, because you've got, like I said, a lot going on. It's all so awesome. It's probably like you said. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, is your wife Natalie? Is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. How do you juggle everything with Is this something you struggle with, juggling everything that you're doing as well as your home or personal life, or does like Natalie fully understand and get involved with it, or do you do it together?
Yeah, we do a lot of it together. She's my sort of sounding board with, I fire out all I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And she go, whoa, calm, write it down, get out your crayons, write it down. And I sort it all out, and then she sort of levels me off and checks everything and stuff like that. But yeah, we've got, my aim is to grow this company to the point where it does support me full time. I work sort of close to 70 hours a week as a AA patrol. I don't work weekends. I'm a British triathlon coach for my local club. I got this. I've got 2 kids. I've got my own training to do. But it is, as I said, it is my therapy. This is something that I loved the army, loved it, and I was like, well, I need to find something else to put my attention into. And that for a while was doing Ironman and doing stuff like that and doing the crazy races. I still like doing that. But this is just an easier way of not, I'm not always dying on the sofa.
Yeah, that's a hell of a busy life you got going. It's amazing that yourself and your wife just to have that little cool project going. And I hope that you can make it your full time thing, because yeah, that would be a dream, wouldn't it? I guess it probably. Do you find that it helps with your mental health doing all of that as well? Is that what it is like? Is it like, or do you have to prioritize it some days more than others? Like, and if you do, how do you do that? Like, what's your downtime?
So yeah, it's probably if I'm honest, it is a lot of time is distraction. It is I'm like, I just won't think about that. I'll just go and do some work for Gert Lush.
Mm.
But like last couple of days, I came back. You get post race blues, don't you? I came
Mhm.
back from the run for good thing on this massive high, and Nick Butter, chatting to him afterwards. We've been chatting constantly as well. Big fanboy of his as well, and he's such a nice guy. And the other talkers, and they helped me a lot. And came back from this high, and I'm on a bit of a hyper, and then crashed. It's back at work. Lots going on, and I have had a crash, and then and these things are always there, and that's my moods. They will go down like that, but I went for a swim the other morning. I went for a run, but I plan to get to a space where, if I was doing this full time, and it could support me and my family, or if I got like another little job, I quite like to be a postie. And just do this, do a little morning shift, and then come back and do all this. But I would be able to do my fitness a lot more. My fitness has slipped massively, but I've got a goal now. There is something coming up next in September. We're launching which will be the hardest UK Ironman distance triathlon next year, called the Penny Man. It will be held over 2 countries. It will end at the base of Penny Fan.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm going to go and do it on my own. And when I finish across the finish line, I will launch the spaces.
That's
Oh.
cool.
Where's it start then?
Starts in South Cerney, where we do the dozen dips. Lake 86. Tom up there, awesome guy, very much like Grant, actually, from the Dawnstalkers. Dawnstalkers are coming up to be on the dozen dips as well. It starts there. 3.9k swim. It's a 112-mile bike to the base of Penny Fan, but we're going to try and put in near 10,000 feet of elevation gain on the bike. And then it's a modified version of the fan dance, the Special Forces SAS selection route.
Mm.
So it starts at the main car park where the visitor centre, goes down to the Story Arms, up the Story Arms, around the back, summits Penny Fan, down the back, then all the way down past the reservoir, turns around, comes back. You would normally do that route in reverse, but our one is going to go left at the reservoir and up the steps, down, and then down the tourist path. That's 1 lap. That's a half marathon. And you'll do that twice. But inclusive. So there will be relay teams, and there is a 24-hour cutoff.
Oosh.
So I might do it in 23 hours, 59 minutes.
But you're going to do it.
Easy. Yeah, smash it.
Easy. We'll
That's
see.
class. That's so interesting. I just love all these ideas that you're coming out with, man. It's just it's inspiring.
I've got loads. I've got loads, honestly. The hunt. Can't wait for the hunt. I'm trying to look for a gold dealer that's going to give me a £5,000 gold bar that can be won. Yeah, I'm in talks with a couple of people at the moment.
Do you know what? I don't even think you're joking, are you?
No, it's there called the hunt. It's on my race list. So it's going to be a hunt where you start at one point. It's going to be near 100 kilometers. You are going to go out. There's going to be a line. Once you pass the line, you disappear off the map, off the tracking, not to the safety, but to the tracking. And then the hunters, a friend of mine that I served with, if you've ever watched the TV program, The Hunted, he's Jordan Wiley. He's one of the hunters. So I served with him in my regiment. And I sort of thought, oh, that's a good idea. So we're going to have hunters. We're going to have a hunter force. Now, in that area, which could be 75 kilometers, in big, no route, it's all you go where you want. There are going to be circles, and they're going to be invisible circles. And if you wander into that circle, your tracker becomes live.
What?
And then the hunters get to see where you are. But you know your tracker's gone live, so you've got to travel try and get out of that circle. The circles will be different sizes. Now, once you get to the end, there's going to be 5 keys. So if anybody gets to the end, they choose one of the keys, and only one key will open the chest to get the gold bar. So the reason we're doing like that is, if you just did that race by standard, the fastest person in the UK could enter and win it every year.
Yeah.
But by having it like that, you're opening it up to slower runners. You know, even if a fastest runner does get through, they might pick the wrong key. So there's that whole mental game in there. There's that whole sort of thing. There's loads of stuff I'm coming up with, but I said, I just fire out these ideas, and my wife just goes, calm, have a drink, calm yourself down, let's plan it out. You know, so yeah, but it's fun.
That is incredible. Your ideas are amazing. Hey, where you pluck these ideas from? I can see why your wife turns around and goes, just chill. Let's have a think about this realistically.
Yeah. No, I just see things and I'm like, oh, that'd be good. Oh, we'll do that. Oh, we'll do that. So
Did you come away from the big moose nights thinking of like loads of ideas and the sort of you need to do more?
in a charity aspect, or
Yeah.
and
like
I mean,
pushing yourself and doing these stupid challenges. Because I
Yeah.
come away thinking that after the Welsh Coastal Path, I just carry on and do the whole UK. But because what Amy and Nick were doing, it was just crazy. Like Amy's doing what was it? 53 ultra marathons?
53
Ultra marathons. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
consecutive.
nuts.
Yeah.
And Nick's Pan American freeway.
Oh,
That's
mate,
just mental,
that
that is.
I mean,
Yeah.
1,000 marathons in 1,000 days. That's man. That guy inspired me. They're all so inspiring. Like Amy, amazing cooking as well. But like that Nick, it's just I expected him to drop some absolute bomb about something he's going to be doing, and that blew my mind. I don't think anybody realized like until afterwards. You like, hang about 1,000. That's like 3 years or whatever it is. Like really.
Yeah.
And it's just I'm reading his book. I listened to a few podcasts with him as well, and he never fails to inspire me, that guy. And I cannot wait for that Netflix documentary to drop because for anybody who doesn't know Nick Butters, please go follow him. Look at what he's done. And first thing I said to him at the beginning on the first interval, I kind of caught hold of him and introduced myself, shaking like a leaf because I was a proper fanboy. And the first thing I said was, mate, when's the documentary? And he said, you're telling me how long's a piece of string, because he's been waiting for years and years.
Yeah.
And then he dropped that little trailer and I had palpitations. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, I'm so excited for this. But yeah, like you said, Nate, you come away from events like that, and you feel like no matter what challenge you've got, you could be running around the world 3 times. You come away from there thinking you got to do it 6 times. It's mental. Like, it's so inspiring. And I've got a big challenge I'm in the middle of planning for next year, as I've mentioned a few times, and I'm now thinking how I can make it more difficult. It's just insane. Good.
I think you've I totally understand what you're saying. I sort of agree, but if probably 3 years ago, I would have been like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. You're chatting about your Nate, you're chatting about your partner, doing the big moves.
Yeah.
I think that's their goal. Let's not I try not to put myself against everybody else, because if I did that, I've got that mindset. I'd end up killing myself trying to do things. There's people who've got different goals. Doesn't mean it's any smaller of a challenge. Someone's 5K could be someone's 1,000 marathons a day. And I was chatting to Nick about that, and he's totally of that mindset as well. But that, you got to look at it. That is his life. His life is running. His job is running. We've got jobs, we've got kids, we've got parents' evenings, flipping Ebola being sent home from nursery. It's all these sort of things, and he openly admits, he hasn't got all of those things in the way. He can, if he wants to go and get trained, he can train. If he can go, it's a lot of sort of stuff. So, and I think people need to, realize that they are the apex predators of this arena, but it doesn't make us anybody else's achievement less. Especially on the Barkley, when I say that, at my unfittest since recovering from the depression, I know now, if I wanted to now, I could go run a marathon, probably a double if I wanted to. Be slow, it'd be painful, it'd be awful, but I know I could sort of do it. Now, that doesn't lessen anybody. If someone could go, someone might look at doing a 5K running without stopping, regardless of speed, and that might destroy them mentally. So I think we need to, within this industry, we need to be like, well, I'm going to do this, but that doesn't mean that you have to do that.
No.
A running show, you see a lot of it of, oh, I'm doing this, and I'm amazing. I'm like, yeah, you are, well done, but it might be harder for someone to actually get off the sofa and go and do a 5K.
Exactly. It is. That's right. Everyone's chasing their own goals, aren't they? And comparison is a thief of joy, which I've said before as well. So I definitely came away from there wanting to do more, but I equally then kind of had a chat with a few friends and stuff, and they're like, yeah, but just don't worry. What you're doing is amazing. It's just fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. And it just takes somebody to kind of knock you back into it. But those evenings do have a habit of, like you said, when you go to these running shows, you listen to these ultra unbelievable runners, and you like listening to podcasts and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, I got to hold myself back from doing some really stupid things. And then a couple of days later, I come around to it and go, yeah, that was a bad idea. Maybe one day, not right now.
Well, it's that maybe one day you might do it. One day, Nick started off doing the MDS. I started off going off to do, and my biggest race was the MDS. And it's all that. It's really weird, Jeff, Nick, Kevin, and I came along and stuff like that. That whole sort of connection about the MDS, and stuff like that. But you can always progress. You can always do bigger. Do your smaller stuff, progress onto it, and people can achieve, phenomenal things.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I like that. Out of curiosity, with everything that you've done, where have you ever been a strong swimmer? So obviously you said you do all of your events. Well, one of your events is now based around swimming, and a lot of them are like running and stuff like that. But the Ironman, when you kind of decided to jump into that, what was your reason why for doing that? Was it just because you wanted to try doing the 3 different skills, or is there any reason why you did the?
I literally went and did a run locally with my running club, and there was a chap there, and I didn't know that the running club had a triathlon section. And I went and did this race and did all right at it. And one of the girls that was there introduced me to this chap called Tony, and he was like, "Oh, you should come join our triathlon club." And I was like, "What? What? What's triathlon?" Um, and I just went in sort of along to one of their evenings, and then caught the bug. And I'd never been on a road bike ever. So I started off on this like horrible like rally made out of a RSJ's bike, and then went and bought a really cheap road bike. My swimming was awful. I got described once, you swim like an epileptic giraffe, which I kind of do, to be honest. But I make do. I make it work. And now to the point I coach people. If you can't do, teach and all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I coach people how to get on the line. But I was lucky enough to train enough to compete in do the Ironman Wales. I was stood right next door to in the swim one of your beloved Alfie, rugby player.
Oh
He
yeah.
was, yeah, I was literally, if you look on his video on his thing, you'll see the short little fat guy next to him. It's me. Yeah. Lo and behold, I didn't know he was very nervous. He was like very upset, like and nervous. And I thought, well, he's handled pressure before. Didn't know at the time that it was just breaking about his HIV.
Right.
And I tell you what, the support the Wales Ironman is known around the world as one of the toughest, but by far the best for support.
Mm.
Right, it's amazing. But I tell you what, he got some support. That was, because people had found out as the race was going on, and that was
Yeah.
amazing.
I bet, man. But I've never done an Ironman. I think that's going to be on my radar one day. I think I'd like to try it. I was just thinking when you're talking about it, then just popped in my head with because obviously being a coach as well, hydrating and fueling during an Ironman. What do you do? Like, I guess the swimming aspect is you wouldn't stop to hydrate or fuel, would you? Because you're in the meet, you have to just power through. But is it different to running in that you just basically take on board what you can before you get in the water? But obviously, you have to be careful then because you don't want to get any problems and make yourself sick when you're swimming because of the whole movement aspect. And is it much more difficult to like running? I'm just wondering because or actually more to the point related to yourself when you did it, is there any particular aspect of the Ironman that you struggled with in terms of hydrating and fueling?
Yeah, that is, they always say about transition is the fourth discipline of triathlon. I think it is nutrition. It is the fourth
Hmm.
discipline. You know, it isn't as important to get that full plan on sprints and stuff like that. It's still important. You need that energy. But yeah, Ironman is a logistical nightmare sometimes for planning everything. So yeah, in the morning you have that massive breakfast, but you can be starting at 6:30. So I was awake at 3:30 eating because you can't eat and then get in the water; it'll slosh about everywhere. So I woke up at 3:30, had all my porridge and everything like that, and I mean a massive bowl of porridge. Went back to bed for an hour, with this big massive belly of porridge. So there's all that logistical nightmare. But I don't do amazingly well on gels. My guts just go wrong. Um, I use real food. So I use on the bike. I had little fried potatoes and things like that, and I made little cheese fries and stuff like that. You have them on a little bag, and you recycle along and just smashing them in, and then you have a drop bag and everything like that. And yeah, you have electrolytes because now after the 100K, I've learned electrolytes are needed. Which was hit home in the desert because sadly, people died because they didn't. So yeah, electrolytes are key. But it's just a battle, a planning battle for it really. But it generally goes wrong on the run for everyone. There will be a couple of people that have shat themselves on the run. And I find that as a motivator, get past them because you don't want to be behind that. But you constantly, I'll do at least sort of 8-9 liters on an Ironman in water and electrolytes. Precision hydration are fantastic. I use them quite a lot.
I was just about to talk about that actually, because funnily enough, this coming the last couple of days, I've actually jumped onto the Precision Hydration website, and again, dropping the name out there if nobody's heard of them, check them out. I've done a free plan, so obviously you put in, obviously don't need the name of the race, when you're starting it, everything down to what the weather conditions are going to be, your age, weight, and the kind of approximate finish time and the distance, and yeah, it kind of chucked out this plan for me, which was really interesting. And you can have a free 20-minute video call with them, which I didn't realize. So yeah, that's what I was leading on to ask, is if you've ever done your own hydration or if you've used them before, because I think I listened to a podcast about it as well, and they said that you should really start trialing it like 8 weeks or something before to get used to it. So yeah.
All my athletes, I'm like, now you should be doing it now. Yeah, but I haven't got a race for 6 months. I couldn't care less. Whatever you don't use, you're going to wee out. Don't worry about it. Start taking electrolytes now. I get them all to take 1 tab a day. It can't do any harm, especially in the winter. Especially in the summer, take more because you need them. But yeah, try it now. Don't wait. A couple of days before and stuff like that. Try the stuff now.
Yeah.
The gels, especially if you're going to use gels, which I've just found one recently called, I forget the name of it now. It's a honey. It's just honey. That's all it is. That's really going to bug me, the name of their company. But basically, they're just it's like Manuka honey with some sea salt in it. And yeah, they're at the running show. I tried all their stuff, and it's phenomenal. No sort of bad guts. And then you've got things like the caffeine bullets as well. They're quite good. But I said about shoes. People ask, "Oh, what sort of shoes should I wear?" Anybody that tells you what sort of shoe you should wear, never speak to that person ever again. Because your feet are different to their feet, are different to the next person's feet. Bone structure, gait, everything like that, different. You can have recommendations about good shoes or good companies, but everybody raved at one point about Hoka. I did the London Marathon in Hoka, and my feet were in absolute tatters.
How dare you? They're my brands.
But that doesn't mean they're not a great shoe.
No, yeah.
It's just not right for me. I went on to Topo. I was using them. I used them for the MDS. Loved them. Loved the shoe. But I've now moved over to sort of Innovate because I do a lot more because I'm a bit tubby now. I do a lot more sort of slower trail runs, and I need that grip to stop me wobbling and falling over. So yeah, they're sort of the grip on those ones are phenomenal, and now they do a wider toe box like Topo. So
yeah, I agree. Everyone's different, and like you said, people who have wanted to start running and have come to me and said, "Oh, have you got any tips? I should probably get like a pair of Hokas like you, is it?" And I'm like, absolutely not. Like what you should get is a pair of trainers that suit your feet, that you're comfortable wearing. Like I can give you like recommendations, maybe have a gait analysis, maybe get your feet checked just to see your shape, but I'm not going to tell you what shoe to buy. I've had friends who saw me wearing Hoka because I rave about them because they work amazingly for me, and I wouldn't be able to do the distances that I do in any of the trainer because I've tried and I failed because I've had various problems from it, and because of a really nasty injury where I broke my shin in multiple places a few years ago. The only trainer I've been able to wear that I found supportive enough, a Hoka. That's why I wear them, because they work for me. And I've had a few friends go out and buy them and been like, "Oh, I don't like them, I don't get on with them." And I'm like, that's fine. You don't buy them just because you've seen me wearing them. Like it's yeah. So that's a very good point actually about trainers. Yeah. There's lots of amazing runs out there. Also, was that honey gel called Hilltop?
Hilltop, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hilltop. Yeah.
I read something about it not long ago because it blew my mind, and then when you said it, then it brought it back up again because I'd never seen
Really
a pure
nice.
honey gel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really nice, really nice.
nice. I guess at this stage, yeah, mate, we've covered off everything there. Thank you very much. I just wanted to, I think maybe unless you've got anything, Nate, one thing I want to finish on is the charity that is very close to all of our hearts that we've spoken about all the way through this, is Big Moose. And I know that you've had some amazing, incredible experiences with them, and like a lot of our guests. And I'll leave it up to you. Just do you want to just talk about your experience, obviously, in terms of how you came across them and how yeah, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was introduced Kevin Webber again, who sort of is interlinked between our whole sort of paths. He so at the Barkley, we give all the profits to charities. And what we did in the second year is we gave them to we wanted small charities. We didn't want big, massive charities because the money just gets lost. And at the time, originally we raised 160 quid. That was it. But we gave it to someone to support them to get their place in the London Marathon, a charity place. So it helped them. It put them over the line. They got their place. And then the next year, we had like £2,000. So because we literally doubled our entries because people sort of
Wow.
liked it. So we found a very small charity, and I met them at the running show, and they came up and they said, "Oh, we've entered your Barkley." I was like, "Oh, great, fantastic." And then they chat, and Jade's Bag, they're called. They're an amazing charity that help sort of these bags are like emergency bags that domestic violence victims or anybody in a problem where they need to go in a hotel and they've got no kit, and they just take this bag of washing products, feminine items, or food or whatever. And they take these bags and they give them to the individuals, and no questions asked, just done. I thought that's a great thing. That is a great thing. And
Mm.
I went on the spot. I went, do you know what? You're our charity for this year. And we worked with them, and then developing on from that, we were like, what are we going to do for next year? And we've got, basically, if we fill the race, we get £4,000 that we can give to charities each year. That doesn't include the individuals coming and raising money for those charities. That's £4,000 made by the people entering, because I have literally stripped down all our suppliers. GeoTracks are fantastic trackers that we use. They give us a massive discount. All of our kit that we get for the runners, massive discount. We're now sponsored by Tailwind, and also Light Up You, which supplied us with loads of lights to keep the runners safe. So we drive down on all these sort of things so that we can maximize the profit, and that goes to the charities. So if we fail, we're going to get £4,000. And we were like, we could help out 2 charities here. So we thought we'll get 2 charities. And then we were speaking to Kevin Webber, and he said, why don't you speak to Big Moose? Went down and had a coffee with Jeff. And whilst I was speaking to Jeff, I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. There he is. This guy knows what he's talking about. He's same mentality and everything like that. And I was like, but they're on the ball, Big Moose. And I was like, are they a bit too big for us? But they're not. They're kind of got that big charity following and people that are sort of so loyal to them. But they are a small charity. Jeff, Chloe, and all the other girls, they're a little family, and it's a family-run little business. And I was like, what can we do here? And I was chatting with Jeff, and I asked Jeff the question. I said, if we had another little charity, but like a small one-man band just starting up, would you give that charity help, mentorship, give them advice? Because again, I'm always trying to think, how can I squeeze the maximum amount of help for different people out of it? And Jeff, as you know, straight away, yeah, of course we would, no problems. So then I was like, do you know what? We're going to have Big Moose every year. So Big Moose are going to be one of our charities every year for all of our races, the dozen dips, everything. And then on the Barkley, every 2 years, we're going to swap small charity. So the small charity will eventually get £4,000 over the 2 years. but they will also probably more valuable get mentorship if they want it from Big Moose.
Wow.
And that was, I think that is, some of them might not want it, but if they like, oh, how do you do that? How, where can I go for that government grant? Where can I do that? And they can just go, do that, do that, do that. And that's going to help that charity no end. So I was like, I'm happy. I found my charity that I want to keep a relationship with. And then they invite me down to the Run for Good. I'm down on the Ultra Fun Run. We're supplying some of the marquees and things like that, and speakers and everything like that. And I've sort of just said, what do you need? What can I give you? Because like they're that kind of group. They're, as soon as you sort of meet them, you're like, how can I help? I want to be involved. We're going to be down there shouting people on. I'm deciding whether I'm going to do fancy dress or not. I like a bit of fancy dress.
Top 3 ideas for fancy dress. Go.
I've only got one.
Dress as Laz.
Yeah. Oh.
Or Courtney.
How have you not thought about this already, Paul? Man,
because my fancy dress, I've only got one. It's just I've got a proper set of lederhosen. Just wear the lederhosen.
No, you got to chuck a plaid shirt on, some tattered jeans, put a fag in your mate, his little hat.
Yeah. Well, we don't do t-shirts for the Barkley. I haven't got one round here, I don't think. No. We do. So if you meet my little man here, I'll do a slow reveal. There's Laz. He comes up, a little bobblehead. I was like, oh, what can we do instead of t-shirts? So we do beanies. We do beanies with the either the Gert Lush is our orange one, and then each of our races you will get a beanie with the Breakheart Backyard Ultra, the Barkley Marathons. And what I do is I get everybody to stand up and we take a picture, and I send it to Laz because he likes to know, and I'm like, your idea is giving so much back. Not just us. We're small fry in the grand scheme of things, but with as far as I know, we're the only Laz authorized invitation, and there are quite a lot of Barkley Marathons in the world. Because there are quite a few imitations and stuff, and we do still get a lot of heat back from it. People saying you copying, and then as soon as they understand the story and they understand it was Laz's idea and we give all the money to charity, they're like, oh, okay, and then they normally sign up.
Amazing. Amazing.
But yeah, Big Moose, awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're close to my heart. I'm actually raising money for the 100 mile now as well. Because they've helped the most important person in my life recently as well. So they're up there with me, and like you said, there's just got that very contagious kind of environment and atmosphere. You'd be around Jeff and Chloe, and like you said, you're trying to work out ways you can give back and like push yourself and stuff. And I love it. And mate, fair play. Nathan, unless you've got any other questions, but I just wanted to say first of all, Paul, I mean, thank you. I think for everything you're doing, because everything. The constant underlying thing that I've heard throughout this, mate, and what I heard when I first met you last week is just that you're just giving so much back to people and charities and helping them. And I mean, that's what we need, because you're having fun. You're doing something you love. You're very passionate about it. And in return, you're helping people like those who need it. Like the littler charities as well, the ones that tend to get, go unnoticed. So fair play. Keep doing what you're doing, man. It's incredible. And I sincerely hope that I can do your Barkley Marathon one day, me and Nath maybe, and a couple of your other ones. But more to the point, I think we should go down there, Nath, with a couple of mics and interview people when they're like at the end of their sanity. And we'll do like a podcast down there.
Yeah, it'd be good. I don't understand how we haven't heard of this before.
No, same. This is what I mean.
Nobody heard about the Barkley for years.
Yeah. Shocking. And someone needs to get onto a documentary.
It's by design a little bit, because I didn't want to make a fool of myself after like setting it up. And now we've got a slick operation and and stuff like that. But we have been in. I don't know if you can see up there, but we've been in Ultramag.
Really?
You know, we've been about, but we've, you know, quietly under the radar.
Cool. That's cool. There's a bit of a thing with the Barclays in there. It's cooler to keep it. It's well known, but it's also a bit secret.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
I love it. And yeah, we'll come down definitely.
yeah.
And maybe we can
Honestly,
sort
come on.
out between ourselves. We can sort out some competitions in the future or something as well to help you
Yeah,
guys. Obviously, a bit more raise awareness, raise more money for charity and all that. But yeah,
yeah.
one thing me and Nate spoke about off air before this, and we're trying to do something a bit different at the end of every podcast. Now is something for you, a question for you, which is because I don't know when you've most recently been out for a bike ride or a swim or a run. What was the last song that you listened to? If you
Oh,
went out there, if you put your trainers on now and headed out the door for a run, what would you put in your ears?
oh, what would I put on, or what was the last thing I listened to?
Well, two questions, double-sided question. What was the last thing you listened to on a run? But if you went out for a run now, or whatever time of the day, what would you listen to?
Uh, it's got to be the Greatest Showman album.
Oh, do you know what? That's really not that's really weird. In work today, a guy next to me had the speaker blasting it out,
Love
and
it.
we had so much jip for it, and unbelievably found out that one of the women hated it and anything to do with Disney and had never even seen Lion King. But anyway, that's
I bet
something.
she doesn't like dry robes as well.
But I'd be on her side then. I'd be on her side. But that's fine. So the Greatest Showman album. That's good. And the
Yeah,
reason I'm asking this is because what I think me and Nate might do is create a bit of a Just Run podcast like playlist on Spotify. So
playlist.
every
Yeah.
guest that we have on, take a couple of songs off an album of their
Ne
choice
ne
or
ne
their most
ne
recent.
never enough. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, see, I'm like an AC/DC and all that. I'm that kind of guy. And the last one I listened to was EMF, Unbelievable. That's old. That's old wine.
Tune.
that is
Probably,
old.
yeah, you probably, yeah, you know, randomly didn't know they're from the Forest of Dean, but okay, you know. But yeah, yeah, when I run, I listen. Rock, you know, the Rocky playlist is also emotive music, and yeah, old The Greatest Showman is I don't know, it stirs something in my soul.
I did not expect that. Fair play. Fair play. I like that. Cool. Well, there we go, Nate. We'll have to set this up now because we've done it. We have to stand by it. I like those choices though, and we'll have to see what everybody else thinks about it as well. But that's cool. Thank you
Yeah.
very much though for this evening, Paul. And like I
No
said,
worries, no worries. I
we
said
usually
if
get
it, like the Barkley, the backyard, I know the Dawnstalkers are coming up. Some of them have already entered into the dozen dips, but they're kind of decent. Ever you want to come to any of our races and do some interviews and stuff like that, come. Don't just turn up if you want. There's always sort of camping and stuff like that there as well, and you know we've got loads of stuff going on. So yeah, especially for the Barkley because it just the more we get the Barkley out there now we've got to stages. I know how to run it and we know how to get it sorted. All the permissions are in place and everything like that. It's fine to, but that this is our aim now to get it going, and you know, we're slowly, you know, we're at this point now where we're now starting to promote it and get it, trying to get the word going and that. And I purposely don't promote a lot of the other Gertler stuff on there because I'm finding that just doing the promoting the Barkley mainly, we talk about it, but the promoting the Barkley, people then head to our website and go, oh, what's that other one you're doing? What's that?
yeah.
Hold on, I find it more organic, and you know, I don't in any way want to make money off the back of the Barkley, but if they just accidentally fall into our website and go, oh, they've got other stuff as well, you know, then that's just a happy coincidence.
Bonus.
Our main effort will always be making money for charity with the Barkley. So
Awesome.
That's cool.
Awesome.
right.
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
thank you. Go on, mate.
I've just got a. I'm up in the morning. I should be up at 5 for a run. Oh, but yeah.
Oh God. Wow. Yeah.
Never enough down the street.
Apologies, mate. I know these tend to go on quite late, but yeah, thank you so
Oh
much
no,
for.
yeah, I'll be asleep now. I take Laz's thing. You know, Laz only sleeps 4 hours a night.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
Does not surprise me at
so
all.
very, so very weird when I speak to him. He's like, oh, like, because obviously the time difference, they'll send me a message at one point and I'll wake up, and then 3 hours later he'll reply, and I'm like, when have you gone to bed? And he said, I've been to bed. It's just, yeah, random. He sleeps like minimal time.
That is cool. But again, it doesn't surprise me. He's a genius.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, thank you again, Paul, for tonight, mate. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
And yeah, we'll leave her at that. Really enjoyed speaking to you, mate. And let's keep keep in contact. We'll come down to one of your events, and we'll
I'll
see
see
you.
you at the Ultra.
Yeah, I'll see you in April. Yeah.
I can't. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately, but I will. We'll meet up very shortly, and all of us, yeah, put our heads together and have some fun.
Yeah, brilliant.
Nice
right,
one, guys.
cheers.
Thank you, everybody,
Have
for
a good
listening.
one.
And,
See
have
you,
a nice
Nathan.
evening.
So that brings a close to episode number 11, I think. Is it?
It is
11?
11. Yeah, it
Bloody
is.
hell.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Vaga, who have sent me and Reese some hats ready for our challenges for me this year in the Welsh Coastal Path, and then Reese for his secret one next year, which we can't really talk about yet. And talking about the Welsh Coastal Path, Jade's story of her daughter is just stuck with me for the last couple of weeks. So I've decided to add one more charity for people I'm raising money for this year. Because I think this week I've seen Esme riding a bike, and it brought me to bloody tears. So Jade, stop posting it, because I was just, I was heart-wrenching. Well, it was just amazing to see. And because of that, I'm going to be running for Esme and cerebral palsy Wales. Because it's just something it's just stuck with me and close to me now. So yeah, I'll be doing that. So I'll be setting a new link for that over the next couple of weeks. And also, remember, the Dragon Cannonball 870 is live on SI entries. So you need to get hold of it, 3 mates to join you on your quest to get around the Welsh coast the quickest. It'll be an epic little challenge for you to accomplish with your mates. Something you can look back on in a few years where you just had a laugh and did something amazing.
Absolutely. Hell yes. Get onto it. Get onto it. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely awesome. Thank you. I just echo what Nathan said. Thank you to all of our listeners that have listened to, again, shockingly 11 episodes. I don't even know how we got here. Seems like a bit of a blur. Thank you to everybody who supported us, like Team Varga and everything. And yeah, go over and follow and support Nathan on his journey through Welsh Coastal Path. And if you get a chance, I'm setting up a Just Giving page as well for Big Moose. And yeah, support us in any way you can. Nice one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.